clusterfuck of a fight against the Crown of Skulls, Vanilli, a Dagonite combatant who is able to create and maintain a shell that he will force you to fight inside of like an arena, one that he will spin at such speeds it distorts your perception of time itself, of reality even. The speed and force at which he fights inside of this arena seem to transcend fourth dimensional boundaries. He illustrated this twice, technically, by first showing you after images of your own defeat and then actually fighting you where you prevailed, despite his bragging, you were able to succeed. Although, seems like someone with such a capability might have been holding back a little. Though not so much to dishonor you in your victory, just enough to let you know. Once you proved to him that you were at least competent in combat, he mended your wounds outside in real time, left with the captured crowns that had been held prisoner inside of the reverse tower alongside his brother Vanilli, who left the twins, the CEO's Dorbo, fatally wounded, one having been impaled on a rather large blade, the other dying already from various diseases and afflictions he had picked up over the centuries that he had existed in microspace. Now, those two bodies have been rejoined thanks to the improvisational and quick thinking medical services of one Dr. Ice Peak and her band of merman detectives. The result seems to be successful. The individual known as Leroy now exists. Here he is. He's happy. The immediate repercussions of the rejoining of Leroy are that the skies above your group seem to be now very populated with many different types of birds. Some that are native to Guam, some that are definitely not. Condors, eagles, falcons, swans, geese, duck, and little tiny sparrows. They've all come and begun to circle around the reverse tower. And the strangest thing is that even those species that are predatory or combative with others seem to be flocking in some kind of peaceful alignment. The skies are still dark, but settled. The thunder has ceased, and the clouds, though heavy and pale, do not rain. Which one of you is the most Uzik attached, would you say? Who's got their cell phone pretty much always on them and is checking it often? Maybe not to an obsessive degree. I don't think anyone in this group is like that, but someone that would be plugged into social media feeds and such. Yeah, I'd imagine one of those two, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mikey probably would be just because you never know what you're gonna learn. Just
Sure, yeah, definitely. Okay. We'll just go with Mikey. Mikey, you're getting a lot of um, social media messages, chatters just across different groups that you may follow or tags. What is a type of tag that you think you would follow in characters, like a thing that you want to keep an eye on?
Um, I feel like I feel like the context of it changed, but he probably followed Poppy, and then it turned into I need to know what this crown is up to, and then
Okay.
it became just keeping tabs on her to make sure she wasn't doing anything weird.
Yeah, we'll go with that. There are a few people that are in the Poppy fandom that have been suspiciously cult-like, more so than usual. Once the brothers had captured Poppy, there was a kind of how do I say it? Consolidation of the fan base with more pushing of people that weren't diehard pop heads. Like we're getting like sorted out, kicked out of like their little social circles. It just seemed like minor little spats in the light of the absence of their star, their favorite, their fixation. And then when she returned, it was like, oh, I was a real pop head the whole time. I was definitely like, I'm a number one pop star. That has pretty much remained in place, and now there's a small civil war between fan groups of the more strangely religiously adherent Poppy fans and those that are just like, yeah, I just like her music. Um, that has just been noise, garbage between people. They're just spamming animated, images back and forth and like sending small wave attack posts, floods towards one another, trying to like knock each other's little tags out of the public view. But there is one in particular that seems to be popping up every now and again. It doesn't get as much attention from those people as maybe it should. It just says something like "Signs of the Apocalypse?" Question mark. Is Poppy going to save us? Question mark. Question mark. Question mark. Question mark. Um, Under that particular group of posts on Uzik, you see or could read there's very like right now happening, so current, people are posting about religious icons in their homes starting to cry tears of blood. Doesn't matter the denomination or belief system, all of them. Yes, you are at ground zero. Once he was reassembled, Leroy weirdly walked away from you without saying much or talking really at all. He just got up and walked towards a hill. On that hill are a few of his followers who are very still badly injured. They seem to be dragging themselves to be around him. And high above the hill in the sky are the birds that are now encircling the reverse tower. Leroy, for his part, is just this quiet observer right now on the world, watching from atop this hill the great stretching plains out into the Guam central area. In the distance, to the east, is Stella Maris, which can be seen in its twinkling tower lights and various uh, electrical setups, posts, and signs just looking like dots and small stamps on the horizon. He seems strangely calm for a person that was just reassembled, one that you've just heard time and time again is the Antichrist. There's nothing about him right now that seems particularly sinister. Well, aside from the birds and the crying holy icons. Once he has taken a moment to catch his breath, he turns around towards your group, who presumably are a bit lower on the hill, and holds his arms open. I am alive. And then he throws his hands up towards the sky and just starts laughing.
That doesn't seem like Sunny.
He begins to walk one step down the hill towards your group. Okay. Who here wants a hug? Just one. Just this once, you can have a hug. Who wants it?
You're only offering one hug to the whole world. To
He
one
pauses.
person.
Yes. For now. There may be more in the future. I haven't decided on that. Should there be more hugs? Enough for everyone?
This world needs a lot of things. More hugs. Sure.
All right. There is so much to do. So much. I have been watching from two different angles until recently. He starts to point to his left, but his left eye begins to look left. His right eye stays looking at you all. This world is a mess, don't you think? Terribly, terribly out of shape. Pollution, crime, war, drug addiction that I helped to apparently facilitate. Wow. I have a political appointment. His eyes both snap forward again. Can you believe that?
What do you remember? Yeah, you do have one.
I remember every single thing that isn't currently obscured by the brain damage inside of my bisected cranium. That is to say, there are one or two things that are off, but there's still something there. I remember most things. I remember, oh, your kindness. All of you were so kind. Yes, very kind.
You will require more medical checkups.
Oh, why would I need those?
And your organs are not completely healed, I would assume, being I recreated most of them.
You're right. You know, the problem is there's too much blood. It's getting in the way.
I
He,
do not believe.
he
No!
pulls a knife out. Let's fix it. And then he cuts his own throat.
No, what?
Blood begins to just pour out, just gush right out of his throat, right onto the ground, right onto his clothes. He just waits there patiently. Do you think it would go faster if I did a handstand?
No, please make him stop.
He slowly does a cartwheel sort of tumble and then stands on his hands. Now the blood is just streaming over his face. There we are.
I move forward to push him over and try to stop the bleeding.
You try to push him back and forth. He doesn't really stop though, or he doesn't. No, he doesn't really. He doesn't tumble. He just kind of stays there.
Have you considered not?
One moment. I'll be with you in one moment. Once the blood begins to stop, he resumes being upright. Alrighty. Still covered in blood, head to toe.
My hand's now covered in blood because I was trying to stop the.
Yeah, they would be soaked.
What's the energy he gives off? Does he feel like deep sea creature, or is it just neutral?
This is like nothing you've ever felt, I would say. He doesn't feel like human or deep sea, or you don't know. Well, I am filthy. Does anyone have a garden hose? Or a wet nap?
I produce a wet nap.
He uses it to wipe one of his hands clean, only one. There we are. Now I'm ready for business. Say, what's on the agenda for today?
Well, you were just talking about how you had a political appointment, right?
Oh, right. A political appointment. I am Japan's ambassador to Guam. I bought that appointment. It cost a lot of money, but it was worth it because now I have certain diplomatic immunities, apparently. Although I'll have to figure out the legal logistics of what happens when that person is merged with another person, technically back with himself. I'm not sure what the law books say about it, but if I had to guess, probably nothing.
Well, you're gonna be in the gray zone along with us merfolk. Afraid to say. In some things, yeah.
That is fine company.
You have
Takes
been.
his clean hand that from earlier and just wipes it over his face, completely eliminating the blood.
Oh, oh.
So, do you feel mentally stable? You went through a lot there just now.
It depends on your definition of stability. But sure, I would say that I feel fine. Just great. Oh, right. Um, are we still on for the assassination?
Uh, are we?
You seem to be healed, so that is no longer required. Plus, I must clean up the city of the escapes.
Sure. Yeah. So 3 days. I will have to find a pair of glasses. He starts to look around on the ground. Oh, here they are. He picks up Sonny's old glasses and just puts them on. Look at me, I'm Sonny Fortuna. Wah! He starts rubbing his eyes as if he's crying. He was such a character. Oh my goodness.
He's the reason. I'd say he's the reason we're here. He was a character.
He was. Sonny's shortcomings were, how do I say it? Well, he had a lot to express, but his language center wasn't quite there. So he had to rely on an artificial intelligence to get the job done. It'd be like trying to, I don't know, math out a poem or something. I'm sure it could be done. It just would take too long. He had a lot of emotional problems. And then Yozon, well, all testosterone. What are you going to do? But together, pretty okay, I think.
Together, more stable, you'd say?
Yeah, stable, not stable. Is it really that important?
Somewhat.
Hmm. Okay. Then completely stable. 100%.
I'm no doctor or anything, but I imagine a little more time to settle out, right?
Probably. He looks down at his bloody clothes. Ugh. I'm gonna need a wardrobe change.
You do have a whole tower you can just go do whatever in.
You're right. He looks back at the tower. That belongs to me now. Up, and there's no brains telling me what to do anymore. I love you guys. I really do. You gave me all of this. You took care of those bothersome brains, and I'm back 100%. This is the first time I've ever really been on planet Earth. This is pretty cool. I mean, it's could use a little work, but and temperature control is off, and but it's Earth is a fixer-upper. We'll call it a fix. It's cozy. It's a cozy little planet you have here. Really.
Wait, what do you mean by fixer upper? You're not looking to flip it, right?
Oh, you're referring to those
Yeah,
memories that you have where I said I was going to sell the planet Earth to shadowy beings beyond your comprehension.
right. That plan is still in play, isn't it?
Well, I could be persuaded not to, but I don't know about everybody else. I mean, if I were able to make such a transaction, do you think that I'm the only one who could? Doubtful. It's a big market out there. A lot of buyers, a lot of sellers. Hell, Brotherhood of Alchemy apparently was trying to piecemeal a lot of your materials out, getting their little edge in markets where they could, when they could. Unfortunately for them, they couldn't buy enough security. So you're welcome.
You are honest. And you're right.
What does it mean exactly to buy and sell the world, though? It's scary, isn't it?
Complete ownership, yeah. It is scary.
Complete ownership of the world. Exactly right. But what if I told you it's not exactly this? He takes a look around planet that those buyers are really interested in. You might
Interesting.
say weird, but when we talk about the world, what we're really talking about and what you all really care about are the experiences that can be had in the world. The world itself is just rock, air, grass, water everywhere. It's so wet. So much of it is water. Oh, well, you would know, right? But the real thing that people want, the reason they buy the ticket is for the experience. They like the experience of this world. They like the desperation, the action, the murder, and so on. The raise a child and then it goes off to the military and then it gets and you're crying and we all shed a tear, that sort of thing. They like the blood and the guts and the tears and the sweat and all the little sensationalist, corporeal feelings, sparks, that sort of thing. That's what they want to buy. Right now, this planet is pretty darn action packed.
So, a world fomenting in feelings. That's the real value.
It is. But
Is this is
yeah,
this Disneyland to them?
what is that?
A park, a theme park.
How much is it worth? He starts to take out a small notepad from his coat pocket.
Is
What
it
is it for sale?
I don't think so.
We'll see about that. Disneyland. He takes out his Uzik, starts dialing.
It's a rather large organization. They are able to operate with their own police force and fire station, things like that.
Hmm. Oh, just one moment. Oh, hey, Paul. Hi, Paul. Yes, this is. Puts the phone away from himself. This is Sonny Fortuna. Yeah, I have a cold. Say, Paul, I'm a miserable bag of snot, but I was thinking of buying Disneyland. Yes, I'm serious. No, I'm not pulling a prank. How much would it cost to buy Disneyland, Paul? Puts the phone to his chest. Then he picks it up again. What's that? Owned by what church? Are you serious? Episcopalians. He just hangs up. Wow. Didn't see that coming. Well, it's all been converted to holy ground, apparently. So, just a bunch of churches there now, I think, and probably a giant baptismal pool where the old people used to swim. Gotta admit, probably should have looked that one up before I made a fool of myself, or Sonny made a fool of himself, but it doesn't matter.
Sonny was a sweet fool, though.
Oh, are you mad because I called him a bag of snot?
Quite.
Well, if it helps any, those are usually the types of things that he would think about himself often, especially when he wasn't sure if he had any friends. Miserable, do nothing, no good, weak, vessel of evil, pathetic, should probably just disappear, that sort of thing. Got his wish, technically.
So, what do we call you?
Just Leroy is fine, really. You can just address me as Adamus Leroy or Adam or Leroy or Mr. Leroy or Mrs. Leroy or your anti-Christness or if you can think of a cute nickname, I'm on board.
To be clear, you said in 3 days you were still gonna go through with your plans.
That is correct. I definitely am going to do the thing that, well, Sonny said, but I'm going to do.
I was not sure exactly why Sonny wanted to do it exactly. I didn't really get a chance to ask. Why would you be interested in any of that?
I'm not sure what you're asking. Are you asking why I'd want to kill the president of the large majority of the world?
Yes.
Because in my heart of hearts, I don't think he's doing a very good job. And the only way to get rid of him is going to be murder. Cold-blooded murder.
Don't you have minions that you could just go send out?
I, are you asking me why I am not a coward? Is that what this is?
Huh.
Why would I trust this to my followers? What kind of leader would I look like if I couldn't pull off what is likely one of the greatest crimes of this century or even the prior few and next few? No, I should be the one, I think.
Enya's eyes glance over towards the others.
Does anyone else hear that? He starts to look around. His eyes are looking into different directions, but he is looking around.
Can I also look around?
Yeah. You hear some kind of weird, distant music.
What kind of music?
Uh, like this. He just starts turning.
Yeah, Mikey would also turn as well.
Okay, Mikey, roll me a gaze. The music is getting loud enough that you all can hear it. Yeah, you see this. There is what looks like a teenager in a very brightly colored suit of armor just dashing towards the tower.
What color?
Oh, like blue, gold, white,
Okay.
some pink splashed in there.
Yeah, Mikey would go. There's a Technicolor knight coming at us.
I'm sorry,
well.
what?
Well, I don't. I'm gonna hope that they're not here for us. They're probably here for you.
Oh
I
shit.
guess get ready. Be ready.
Yeah, just could you guys stand aside for a moment? Just
Yeah, I
keep
don't want to
kind of
be.
motions.
No offense.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
Mikey will start to slide away.
Yeah, as he says move aside, this kid, the closer they get, you can see the more weird and distorted their faces. Until they get close enough and you can see them, they look like this.
What?
Why?
This person, whoever it is, runs in and says, "Ah, I found you. I've collected all the armor and the weapon from my grandfather. I, Gomihime, am here to stop the ultimate evil. And you," she points at Leroy, "are him. I've come all the way from Japan with years of training with my father and my grandfather and my great grandfather in the mountains. And now I'm here to put an end to you. I hope you're ready because this is my final ultimate attack and you're going to suffer." She just takes out a giant, what looks like metal steampunk lance hammer sword combination. Looks far heavier than her body, just far, and is longer than she is tall. It begins to wind up and you can hear the engine inside twisting and igniting. "Get ready for my ultimate attack." Leroy just seems staring kind of with the same expression he has in his token. He kind of just walks forward, grabs this kid by the collar, headbutts her in the face, and then just throws her backwards down the hill. The weapon actually falls on top of her head with a loud crunch sound. Leroy just kind of dusts his hands off, and then looks back at you, police. You were all there. That was self-defense.
Yeah, technically.
Did you just murder that small girl?
He walks over to the giant weapon and just kind of rolls it off with his foot as best as he can, revealing she is still alive, but there's a seriously big dent in her forehead now, with blood welling in it. She's kind of down there mumbling.
I guess I gotta fix that.
He kind of
yeah.
puts a hand up in front of you. I speak. Don't do it. Do not. Don't just let it happen.
You know I cannot.
If you fix this Gomi Hime person, they're going to get up and probably try to kill me again.
I should
Why don't we
technically.
send for an ambulance?
That, sure, send for an ambulance. But don't fix them up here, please. My goodness. What kind of name is Trash Princess? I should have known this sort of thing would happen. Now that I'm back, probably gonna get a few of those. He kind of like waves a hand off in that direction. The savior types, the do-gooder crusaders, we've been training for centuries and our bloodline demands that we need to come, and you heard what she said.
I will be doing at least, stabilizing her.
Sure. You notice that she is wearing all of her armor is really unnecessary. It seems like it's been scrapped together, probably made in a garage. The sword that she's wielding is really heavy and it looks real. You could probably guess this is a samurai. And judging by their level of insanity, a Sidonian.
Oh,
You know, I gotta say, it was pretty brave of her to just come at you all by herself like that.
I guess if you want to call it bravery, it seems more like a throwing your life away kind of thing for no good reason. I mean, I don't know why a person would do such a thing. Why? Evil, fighting evil, it's ridiculous. As he's talking, I speak, are you attending to the wounds?
yes.
Okay, you also have to roll me a let's see, what do you got? Roll me a speed roll. Yeah. Because as you're treating her, birds are trying to peck at her, and it looks like that large black dog might be eyeing her body to pull away. With a 1, there
Uh,
there are way too many birds.
uh,
Can I think what?
I was gonna
They are.
say, Claudia's probably gonna step in and try to help.
Okay, Claudia, you give me a speed roll.
Uh,
Not the dog again.
Yes, the dog again.
Just pulling away a dead body.
Okay. As you were attempting to treat her, the birds distract you to such an extent that you aren't able to notice that, yes, a dog is pulling her body away now, making low growling noises and kind of shaking her ankle as it does. Leroy is just watching this happen. So it ends. The illustrious career of a knight. Fallen in battle. And dragged off by a dog.
You have the ability to stop this, Honey Fortuna.
No, that's not me. He taps his head. Whatever. Let her go. The dog drops the ankle and then sniffs and then walks off. Huge as it is, really seemed like it did. You could have probably just grabbed this girl by the waist and walked off with her like a bone. And you too, he motions to the birds, who flutter away. There, you have your, trash to pick up if you'd like.
Hey, Leroy, I think it would be good if we headed back to the station and took this person with us. You said you needed to change your clothes and all that, and a lot just happened.
I suppose that could be acceptable.
Please try to remember, people are not trash.
Why do you say things like that when you don't even believe them?
Although I have difficulty in such things, I remember people who assisted me in the past.
Select people. You know, Sonny might have been a fool for all of this moralizing. It might have really cut him deep. But I don't really have that vulnerability like he did. I don't take any sort of preaching from those who sin. And sin you do, all of you, whether you admit it or not. Glass houses and all that. Take your trash princess with you when you leave. And if you don't return in 3 days, I'll know that you just aren't up to the task of getting revenge for what happened at Golden Buff. Don't disappoint me. I'd rather not be disappointed.
Hey, we'll be in touch, right?
Anytime. I'm always here. Day and night. 24 hours. 363 days a year. I stole 2 of them.
Alright. Well, someone should probably welcome you to Earth, right?
Do not.
Anya's gonna... She extends out her hand.
Is that a handshake you're offering?
I know it's not a hug, but it seems more appropriate.
Sure, quaint, why not? He takes your hand and shakes it. And it's an agreement of sorts. You'll be in touch. When you take his hand and feel the skin, it is cold. There is no blood running through his veins. The hand is flawless in quality, as in the skin feels like it's been made or woven. It's like shaking hands with porcelain wrapped in silk, and just as eerie for it to belong to a person that is, by all accounts, human standing before you.
Anya looks like she's not really sure what to make of this contact. Like maybe she regrets it a little.
Do you think that your organs belong to me now?
Is that so?
Possibly. I have not done many experiments with my stand.
That is the strangest pickup line I've ever heard.
Is it?
No. My organs, whoever they're the property of, can be replaced at any moment.
That may be for the best.
Indeed. How odd, this arrangement. How reluctant you all feel. But don't worry. I know we're off to a weird, rough start here, but I think over time, you'll really come to understand me. Really.
All I'm thinking of is cutting you in half. Excuse me. I pick up the trash princess and I start to leave.
You have to understand, Avicii's supposed to be what drives us, and we obviously have to gain and earn trust with the humans, so...
Of course. I'm not your problem, really. Just a corporate executive, like any other.
That's not actually who you are. That's just a role.
Oh. Maybe one day I'll explain corporations to you so that you understand exactly what it is. For now, yes, just a role.
Enya looks uneasy. Yeah, we should be heading back.
You can see as you're leaving, he's just putting on Sonny's glasses and taking them off over and over. Trying to squint, as if trying to test their prescription or how to see through them.
They're gonna have to hoof it back to the station.
Yes. Getting back there is probably going to require... Well, you were going to call an ambulance.
We were,
for,
yeah.
Gomi Hina here. Once you call for an ambulance to pick you up, they will do so. There are questions about what happened to your vehicle.
What did happen to her?
Oh, it's currently rolled over and probably burned out by now.
Oh, yeah.
You got trash housed.
Yeah, we were gonna tell them that
Thanks, crowns.
that the crowns are free. Yeah, I am. Alert.
I mean, who's asking?
Just the ambulance crew that shows up, man. They don't know. They're like, why are a bunch of cops out here without a vehicle? But, they're just EMTs. They're not going to bust you or anything. They just don't know what the fuck is going on here. On top of that, I guess they also want to know if you want to do anything about the scattered bodies and wearing bastard costumes that are out here.
Yeah, I guess Dorbo is officially an active crime scene.
True.
Yeah,
you can choose to declare it as such if you'd like.
I would like.
Okay. Then for the moment, the reverse tower and the area around it will be considered a crime scene. That will allow you to investigate it if you want.
I do.
Like right now? Sure. You have to talk to the property owner about that before you investigate, though. And doing any kind of search is also going to require a warrant. So,
Yeah,
into the property that it is.
There's been a prison break at Dorabo. All the crowns are gone.
Oh, that's not true, actually. Danny is not. He was not taken. He wasn't in the tower.
is that to?
Yeah, he's being held before he can be shipped off to Atlantis.
But the rest, I guess.
Sure. You want to file a police report about it? Which
Yes.
means, well, first you have to ask if the property owner wants to file a police report about it.
Well,
He could,
can you officially do that if you're considered a jail?
well, if he's considered a jail, he's considered a contractor of the police, or
Okay.
subcontractor, I should say. He's working on a contract.
If there's been an escape to the on the property, he can't just be like, no cops.
He can say that he's not interested in having you go through his things that are not related to the escape.
Yeah, there's a
But-
lot of red tape options.
Yeah.
Come back with a warrant,
Mhm.
etc., etc.
Keep in mind you're dealing with the executive antichrist here. In terms of bureaucracy, he will dominate in most social
Goddamn
contests.
CEO of hell.
Yeah, I mean you can make the attempt, and
Well.
he's definitely you can outplay him, but he knows technically, or at least has someone who knows complete bullshit that will stymie a lot of different options if you are not careful.
He's also 1 year old. Can a 1-year-old hold a company?
I don't know, you have to prove it.
I put him together today.
Gotta prove it. Can you ask politely?
Yeah, I mean, he thinks we're friends, I guess.
If you are trying to investigate what happened, then he will cooperate. But if you have any kind of ulterior motive about what your fact finding is, he is likely to be suspicious right now. Unlike Sonny, he is not a very trusting person. Nor is he naive in a lot of things. He is, well, fucking Leroy. So, what do you want to try to investigate before you depart? Yes, very much. No, I mean, if you have specific things that you want to try to investigate before you leave, he will play ball with you on this.
I guess at this point,
No, I was gonna say Mikey's gonna request video copies of, I guess, Millie, or no, yeah, it was Millie's descent down to where they were keeping the other crowns, and then the extraction of the crown, so that he can see what happened, how it happened, and then when they took off.
He would be willing to provide you with some videotape footage, but a lot of it is going to be redacted, more or less, censored.
That's fine.
Okay. It's not even a matter of evil. It's a matter of all the technology inside of the tower.
Yeah. I feel like Mikey would understand that. As soon as he starts going into it, he's just like,
Yeah, okay. Please. I understand there's proprietary stuff in there that's, whatever.
How about a simulation? Would that, a CGI recreation, would that be better?
Could you give me both?
Sure. Would you like it dubbed or subbed?
I prefer the original.
Okay. Subtitled it is.
Yeah, so I guess whenever he gets that, he would also send that, forward it over to Rust to start looking
Okay.
into it.
The actual real footage, like he implied, is heavily censored. There's a lot of blurred spots. You see somebody walk around the corner and they are completely blacked out. They drop whatever they were holding, which seems to be a small cup of espresso, and then begin to run. You see what looks like though it couldn't possibly be, a small crowd of we'll say 8 to 10 people about 3 feet tall. One of them has a very stretched out neck. Another has feet that are far too big. They begin to run around in a panic and flee. Their faces are all heavily censored, of course. One camera has a man with black gloves and a red suit jacket smoking in the corner of a stairway. But then the whole stairwell collapses, causing him to scream and fall. His face is not uncensored. It looks like that guy you saw in the River to Hell.
That's probably fine.
Oh, yeah, he's probably fine.
He's working at that adorable now.
But mostly what you see is, and the cameras really are struggling to keep up frames per second to capture Millie. He is moving through there like a blur, a buzzsaw that just goes through most walls and doors pretty easily. If he has to stop, it's just so that he can reorient himself, and usually it's because he's attached to a ceiling or a wall before he just blurs away. There are a few shots of him cutting through those automated gargoyle turrets that you've seen, but once they get cut, there's sensor bars and blurring over what's inside of them. And then finally, you see him entering the tank area and beginning to detach a few things, pulling a pretty sedated Rihanna out of her tank. And Poppy, he just tucks under his arm. And that is actually those are all the crowns that he had. Since he didn't have Danny, it was just those two. The extra tanks that he might have taken probably were other types of containment that they want to just take with them for some reason. Rihanna, you'll note in the video, looks pretty out of it. She had a bunch of different wires and tubes connected to her body that had to be cut and severed. It seemed like she was on some kind of therapy treatment. There were a lot of machines connected to her, though. I'm guessing you want to watch the CGI recreation as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I would part of what I'm looking for too is seeing, cuz like I thought that Yozon and Millie were going to fight, and just seeing how that went out, cuz obviously it went bad, but just trying to analyze what the hell Millie can do.
Well, the cameras were damaged for most of that, so you just for that you see Yozon standing in front of Vanilli with his sword out. You see Millie kind of eyeing the two up, saying something that's off audio, and then there is a flash of what looks like white lines going everywhere until the camera actually, the perspective splits in half. And give me a durability roll. You take one physical stress as after that happens, a small cut appears on your cheek. The blade is so sharp that even the data of it can apparently do damage on his like forearm. That's exactly what just happened to you. It just cut through the camera, then through your perspective, then through your cheek. But it's just the slightest amount of blood. After that, there's no camera footage.
Yeah, he would at least he would report that to everybody, but especially to Rust, to not watch that footage, like that particular recreation, just because he doesn't want him to get diced up on accident.
Oh, let's see what happens to Rust.
No.
Oh, geez. Yeah, he gets as you're saying, watch what foot. Ah! The line goes dead. If you were trying to contact him.
Rest, rest.
He'll try and like send him like a message instead, in case like his phone broke. That like maybe
Uh,
because he's on the computer.
yeah, just the reply says going to infirmary.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's this sad face. Sorry, I didn't know myself. A lot of heavy apologizing through text.
The CGI version, which is the only version of the Millie fight that exists apparently, um, has well, first of all, has its own backing music, which, it's great. And it has a much taller, more buff
Of course,
Yozan, who's just like standing up with like blood on his like forehead that he wipes away heroically.
yeah, it's a stylized simulation.
Yeah,
That's why I
yeah.
wanted. That's why I wanted both. I knew that it was going to be a production.
Millie looks he looks like half as tall and is squat and covered in warts. And it's just a man holding two knives, laughing.
With this, I'll be able to destroy humanity, starting with its greatest champions, you two. Once I get you out of the picture, Avicii Dagon will rise up, and you will all pay the price. Honor? That's a joke. We merfolk are ugly and hideous, which is why we hide under the ocean. And you land dwellers are all pretty. That's why we need to kill you. Now, prepare yourselves.
And then you see Millie drop one of his knives and then sneak out a pistol and fire it at Yozan. Yozan deflects the first bullet with his blade and then smirks. I didn't think it would come to this, but it looks like I'll have to use my ultimate secret technique. This time, there's no coming back for you, Millie. And once I'm done with you, I'll get revenge on your brother. Because he killed my fiancée. You can see Millie stumble backwards and fall on his butt with a comedic kind of like sound.
Don't do it. I give up, I swear.
Yozan adjusts his collar. Typical. Fold under pressure like anyone else. I'm gonna kill you anyway. And then you see Millie press a small button on his belt and his head fires off of his neck. The mohawk on his head cuts through Yozan, who tries to defend himself. And then you see a very, very beautiful Sunny in the background with way too much makeup saying, "Get down, Yozan, no!" Yozan is badly cut. He stumbles backwards. No, it can't end like this. Sunny seems to be charging up a magical attack. And then there's a gunshot as Millie picks up his shitty small snub-nosed revolver and shoots Sunny. That's it then. I've killed the two greatest humans ever to exist. He laughs and throws his hands up in the air, and you can see as his shirt comes up, his belly actually falls out and over his belt. It's very animated, the jiggle on that stomach. Also, for some reason, the camera pans over and there are crying school children and a bus in the background that are trying to cheer for Yozan and Sunny. What happens afterwards is you see a weirdly poorly animated ice peak kind of glide in, really, while everything else is like 2D, like almost hand drawn. This ice peak looks like a very primitive 3D Blender model.
Oh my!
She says, "I can make it better. I will help." And then begins to just like work on the two bodies and puts them back together. I have done my duty. And then the Ice Peak figure floats upwards off
Just
camera.
T-poses and
Yeah.
dragged off. Yeah.
The school children cheer, and then the very buff, very with a lot of makeup on his face, Leroy gets up. Looks like it's time for round 2, turkeys. And then he proceeds to punch both Millie and Vanilli until they just run away crying. At the end is a small blurb that just says, "This footage put together by Dwarbo Group." But that is the CGI footage that you received.
Why do they have models of us already made? The hell?
That's
Okay.
a very good one.
They couldn't put in the whatever. Okay.
My heart. Did we all watch this?
I'm sure if Mikey saw it once, he showed everyone immediately.
every
He,
moment
like
was
he
that.
could not do it, no matter how much anybody didn't want to watch it.
All right.
Mikey.
Oh, you sound
Oh.
far away. Claudia?
I do.
Oh, now you're
Oh, there
better.
you go.
Okay, say it again.
Wait, have you sent this to me, Mikey?
Because I mean, I thought you guys should know the information as well. Also, what is this? What am I supposed to do with this? This is clearly not what happened.
Is this like a press release thing? A short film?
No, this is what they gave me
This
when I
is
asked.
how he thinks he looks.
This is how they saw themselves.
Okay, but I don't know what we're supposed to do with it.
Cry. We are supposed to cry.
We're dealing with someone that seems to be above human laws. And maybe we'll only cooperate with them up to the point where it amuses him.
Mikey, how many times have you watched this footage? We'll say, like, probably twice at least.
Yeah, I was gonna say at least twice because he saw it and then he sent it and tried to get people to watch it with him.
Give me a gaze roll. Opposition 6.
I'll pay a fate point to make that.
Okay. What are you going to invoke for this?
I'll invoke my drive, learning everything I can. So
Okay. Learning everything you can, rewatching the footage, you're trying to scan out for any details, including the CGI footage. In the back of one of the trees that's near the tower, there's something standing behind the tree watching what the scene is. Like, they are not visible from every angle, but there is someone in there. If you pause it at the moment where they appear, it looks like Leroy. Photorealistic, actually. He's just back there smiling as if he just put himself into the scene. There is something a little off about him, though.
I was gonna say if the video's paused on him and I'm examining it, is it moving or blinking or doing anything it shouldn't be?
That depends on how long you stare at it. Because it seems like it's almost weird, because when you pause it, it seems to flicker like it is still active. It's as opposed to being a paused image.
Yeah, he might do that for like a minute or two just to see if like anything does happen, since he did just get cut by video footage.
Sure.
I guess we'd be looking for something weird else, like something else weird to happen.
Yeah. Um, you see that that image of Leroy, um, the hair moves just slightly around the ear and reveals a pointed tip. The eyes begin to turn towards you, the viewer, and then the image just freezes.
I mean, at this point, probably all 8 of like Mikey's eyes are pulled to the screen and just staring, like alternating blinking, so that there's always an eye on him, and he's just probably staring now for longer than he probably would have liked to have, and he's just like,
Can you hear me? Why are you in the? Why are you here? Why are you in the simulation?
The face of the figure that is apparently Leroy begins to smile. Roll me a durability. 2. Let's see. You feel extremely uneasy right now because of 2 things. One is you are noticing that Leroy looks pretty good. Like it's something about him. He looks like there's a glow almost to him. Something like beautiful even. And it's at that moment that you start to notice that you notice that the sheen around him has a darkness, something that is adding definition to his image. The more that you look at it, the more that these 2 things begin to intensify, both the beauty of the figure and the darkness around him, until the entire screen is black except for that figure in your perspective. If anyone else were to look at this, they likely wouldn't see the same thing. They might not even see him there, but you do. And then he starts walking towards the camera. You estimate that at his walking speed right now, you have about 10 seconds before he arrives.
yeah, Mikey would immediately close the footage, turn off his computer, probably just start unplugging it, just completely disassembling it down to parts as quickly as he can, which is fast.
You are saved from the visitation that was going to occur, but you do take 3 mental stress from
Yeah.
what you just experienced. It was very unsettling. The ethereal beauty of the figure was not in any way like, it may have started out as like, oh, that's a good looking dude, but it became like, that is way too good looking of a dude, until it was, that's not humanly possible. Like, it was just sharpening, intensifying, and at some point becomes maddening to behold. Once you have just
Yeah, just
unplugged everything,
yeah, it's completely disassembled, and he's just like, his eyes are just darting around. You can see like his hair moving and stuff, because he's already had to deal with the weird phone devil.
yeah,
I would say he once again goes and finds the microwave and just starts shoveling pieces in, just opens it in his seat and just arm out, just starts putting everything in there they can fit, and just closes it.
sure, the microwave turns on.
Oh, I was gonna say I didn't plug it in. Oh no.
No, it's not plugged in. Turns
Uh,
on.
Yeah, but I guess he would go to like open it to stop it from cooking itself.
Nope, it's locked. You're gonna have to really try to put some force behind it. It's just going right now, and not a coincidence. The timer says that it's on for 6 minutes and 66 seconds.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. At that point, Mikey will pick it up and just completely go like rubber arm, like slingshot it out, like up into the air, and hope that it stays airborne long enough to not land
Sure.
and detonate.
It where are you rubber it like out a window?
I would say he probably ran outside with it and then just went like straight up with it, like just launched it straight up.
Okay. The microwave ejects upwards and then just begins to disintegrate piece by piece, falling apart. And you see what looks like the after image of a microwave continuing to fly upwards until it is engulfed with sort of light and just poofs out of existence. It's completely gone, eradicated from reality. You hear a small laugh on the wind.
Yeah, Mikey would go back inside immediately. Yeah, once the laugh came through, just right back in.
Right. Update to the Stella Marie PD situation. By the way, they are trying to 3D print out the proper parts and are currently working on a construction site not too far away from your trailers. But everybody is very strained right now in terms of time and attention. They are trying to deal with various little pockets of unrest throughout the city. And, the whole fact that they are also trying to reroute services where they can from either local neighboring districts or like cities. And, the fact that they have to now deal with the report that you're delivering to them, which is that the crowns that were being held there kind of extrajudiciously, we'll say, are now jailbroken. Speaking of which, how much of that do you report to the chief?
Yeah, how much do we tell the chief? I mean, yeah, it would be all of it, right?
Not all of it. But
Okay,
you
what
probably
aren't we?
handle a lot.
I was gonna say, what aren't we telling him? Yeah, because
That we're gonna meet up with him in 3, or some of us, or maybe none of us. That's up in the air anyway.
okay, yeah. So we still wouldn't mention Russia, but
Other than that,
everything else.
I guess everything else is fine, yeah, now that I think about it.
All right. If your report states that there was an attack on the reverse tower, he does have a few questions. So, to get this straight, there was Japanese crown, this Rihanna. Well, they're not Japanese, though. Well, they were held there, and now they're not.
Right.
I see. Well, this will have to be forwarded to the military. Are all of you alive? seems to be the case. No casualties.
We think
Ah,
so.
yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, we're still here and accounted for.
Ah, good. Was there anything else that I should know about in the next 3 days or so, perhaps?
Nothing, sir. It's all in the report.
Odd. Because Sonny Fortuna sent a message saying that he would like some accompaniment in 3 days to some sort of meeting at a Russian Federation. He was hoping for local law enforcement.
He is no longer Sonny Fortuna.
How's that?
I had to put
It was-
him back together with his brother in order for him to survive the
Well-
engagement.
I mean, and we say his brother, but I mean, they were technically one person before, but they were two people, and now they're one person again. So
No, they
it's all in
kind
the
of-
report. It's weird.
Yeah.
We've never been able to explain it properly, and I don't think even they knew how to explain it.
Right, we'll have to suppress that then.
And I believe he wishes us to assassinate someone in Russia.
Did he say who?
The president of the world?
And Don Reyes, I think?
I see. One moment. The chief picks up the phone. He waits after pressing a few numbers in.
And he's throwing them glances.
I think you'll want to come in here and hear this. Yes. Well, if you promise not to kill me, I think it's worth your while. He hangs up. You know, at this point, really, you're not very much police officers, are you? I mean, this is more of a intelligence matter, don't you think?
Yes.
Being recruited to assassinate the most powerful man in the world is, well, a bit of a, how do I say it? Well, it's a bit more than just busting litters and chasing down ozone heads.
Yes, it tends to involve murdering someone very violently, which isn't exactly what I signed up for in the police.
Oh, I don't imagine you did. But that's something to be sorted out. He waits a moment, and then there's a knock on the door. Come in. And the person that walks in is
It's Harlan.
Mr. Hastings. And your sword isn't even drawn. How quaint. Repeat to Harlan here what you just told me, if you could. He kind of just motions to your group.
The CEO of Dorobo wishes us to assassinate the president of the world.
Harlan waits.
Do you wish for more? It is a very long explanation.
No, when do we leave?
In 3 days.
Very good. I'll be there. He just turns around and walks out.
Sir,
What?
did you get my request?
Talk to me later.
She just nods stiffly.
He nods and then leaves. Chief Summits leans forward on his desk with both elbows. I will get to the point on this one. Those of you who don't have an appetite for any sort of wet work or espionage or anything of the matter should probably not be involved with this. kind of stares at you, Claudia.
I didn't plan on it. I don't agree with this sort of action, so
That's fine. You can step out. Just so you know, however, this is not exactly unprecedented, nor is it unwarranted.
I am aware. I simply disagree with who would take the place of said person. And I think
It's
it is
fair.
a mistake. But
I also do not wish it to be the CEO of Dorable.
Understandable. We've been running. Well, if you listen to this next part, then you're under some obligation to do something. What you do with the information is up to you entirely, but it is information nevertheless, and not given freely. Again, free to leave.
And straightens up. You definitely have my attention.
Very good. He kind of like, you see him put a hand on one of the walls of the office that he's in, the small box, and it begins to turn a bit taffy-like in a way until it resettles back into its original shape. The door closes, and then you can feel hear what sounds like a bunch of planks of wood slapping against the outside of the room. 7 rooms of gloom is active, which will mean that it will be difficult for anyone to listen in. When I became a police officer, I wasn't particularly interested in many things, including having to consume my own stand. However, circumstances were what they were, and survival is of the utmost importance. What probably hasn't been revealed to the public in any way, shape, or form, as far as I know, is that the Seven Nation Army has been planning an invasion of Guam for at least the past 5 years, we'll say. The island used to be a property of the United States of America, which is where the Seven Nation Army, of course, began. And with the rise of Atlantis and the declared independent sovereignty of Guam being what it is, Seven Nation Army has been interested in retaking the island as a sort of staging front for an eventual, how do I say this, peaceful acquisition of Atlantis, as well as taking full and sole production of all coral steel, currently one of the world's most valuable materials. So, when you say that you've been approached about assassinating President Valentine, get in line. I've personally also been recruited for the same. I mean, prior to this, of course. The military officials here on Guam don't exactly like the idea of giving up their sovereignty, much less their foothold on the, well, what is Atlantis' gate to the larger world. And we've sent military contractors before. They have not been successful. I can't speak too openly or freely on that one, but it has happened. Now, I know this isn't police work exactly, but at the current trajectory that the Seven Nation Army is on, with our quite feeble military force, we could maybe hold out for 3 to 4 days before they take the island. And that's with all the weird units that we have, like myself. Technically speaking, from some of the paperwork that was released by Dorabo, they were actually fielding cybernetic operatives as a way to reinforce our current military numbers. Didn't really work out, though, did it?
It did not.
Now, none of you, as far as I know, are spies, agents of any kind. You are all upstanding police officers.
And your flinches a little.
I am known for my intelligence. I am sure it can be put to good use with the military.
Engaging in this sort of activity would likely take you out of the police force and into something else. Aqua, as a unit, can continue to operate, but we are already branching out and fielding new operatives every day in different cities. That is to say, we are making a franchise of the original. You'll be pleased to know that we are also looking to exclude those who are hardcore Daganites, as we would like to call them, and taking every effort to ensure that none sneak in, but who knows? If, for some reason, you have heard all of this and believe that it is still the right course of action to assassinate a standing world leader, then this discussion has not happened. I do not know what you are talking about, and I do not get your sense of humor.
Loud and clear.
It just went completely over my head.
Enya looks around. Does this mean we're all on board?
They will come for the city of Guam. I will not let that happen.
And if something were to happen to a certain Japanese CEO, and it was a tragic accident, then that is what history will remember.
I'm surprised.
By what?
This was essentially my game plan. I didn't think that you'd be on board.
Please, girl, I was doing all sorts of questionable things when you were still flipping around in whatever ocean you came from. Probably not more than a tadpole, while I was burying bodies. He lights a cigarette.
She clears her throat. This Seven Nation army invasion does sound like something that they would do.
It's one of the reasons the Valentine clan won't back down from any engagements, even if there is a standing order and a peace treaty in the face of Nas, I believe he's called. Some sort of international environmental threat. They want to continue to stoke the fires of war and conflict amongst the different groups on the island so that eventually they would hope that they have weakened all of their standings amongst the various organizations, and it makes invasion that much easier. Not to mention, of course, that it recruits any potential samurai to their side when they see that the Valentines are winning and are not playing nice with the rest of them. Crush enough peaceful combatants, and it's bound to happen. And the money doesn't hurt either.
There's really so much to gain, really.
Right. There's no reason for them to ever be peaceful. One would suspect that even if the Seven Nation Army were to hold every single country under their sway, there would still be war. Their entire existence is predicated upon war, conflict. They can't live without fighting. They need to crush something or someone to justify why there is a tyrant at the top. Always. Rumors are that Bloody Valentine himself was going to put an end to it, peacefully dissolve certain parts of the Seven Nation Army. And look at him now. Or you can. He's in a glass coffin somewhere, I believe, in where was it? Florida.
Oh,
Once his son took over, it was just a matter of war, endless war. Feed the machine. And if there aren't enemies, you'll make them somewhere, somehow. So it may be easy for us to sit pretty here on Guam with our sovereignty, but the rest of the world suffers beneath the yoke of the Seven Nation Army.
I am sure they see merfolk as a good target for their war.
Precisely right.
An easy scapegoat, I'm not surprised.
That's why it wasn't surprising either to see in the papers that the Daganites had been working with the Seven Nation Army, driving a wedge between the two, human and merfolk, land and sea. One, and yes, both, in fact, strive on this conflict as a way to stoke the fires of zealotry and prejudice and eventual genocide of one or the other. Species in competition. But you are just police officers. This is big world stuff. And it's likely Detective Cornell's fears are not unfounded. After all, this figure that's hired you out to do this, or trying to hire you out, is, in fact, according to all reports and mystics, sages, and gurus to be found, the Antichrist. Which I am not particularly religious, despite my current affliction. It sounds bad. So, as I said, accidents happen.
Yeah. Always a possibility. It's not like it's gonna be an easy stroll.
The event taking place at Russia certainly seems fortuitous. That is where a great deal of war crimes were carried out by the Valentine clan, presumably within the employ of the Dorabo, actually.
The Golden Love incident.
Yes. The settlement and natural reserve that was the site of one of the worst civilian massacres that was seen in that area within probably 200 to 300 years. Some compared it to the atrocities of World War II, but I don't know. I lean more towards a World War III body count. Either way, not very nice what happened there. Men, women, children slaughtered by the hundreds.
Well, maybe one day, not anytime soon, that land will know some measure of peace. We still have to walk through it.
Oof. I don't know. I'm a demon, and even I wouldn't be comfortable being there. The ghosts that walk that land are likely very angry indeed. But hopefully you won't have to see for yourselves. The mission, is there any other details that you would be, I don't know, ever inclined to share? If not, don't worry, I don't need to know everything. Oh, do you require any sort of traveling gear or luggage, and I cannot say that with a more unnatural emphasis.
Anya's quirking her eyebrow at him.
We will likely require a new vehicle. We have totaled ours. Well, technically, a crown has totaled ours.
I saw that in the report. We are working on a more highly armored transport for your lot, and will likely be rolling them out as part of production for further Aqua units. We didn't build them tough enough. Nobody really saw that one coming, though, so you can't blame them.
Will the city be safe without us in the meantime, due to the release of these people?
Good question. Well, there are others who are working, as you know. The city is alive and bustling, and there are some who seem to have taken it upon themselves to act as defenders and protectors. A detestable girl detective, for example. Well, she has stopped a thing or two, in a band of degenerates.
If Aqua's gonna be a franchise, your words, shouldn't we go by a different, I don't know, Unit 1 or something?
You're right, absolutely. By accepting this Russian detail, you will likely be moved up to a different tier than the other Aqua units. I would say that you're no longer even technically responsible to the city itself, more to the island than to the crown. You understand that this is not a vacation or, how do I say it, busy work. This is something else. So names really are more of a liability at times than anything, but take it from me. Once you step behind the curtain, you see no reason to go back.
Right. We would know too much, also.
Well, that's not a problem. Goodness.
Hey.
No, no, no. Not to insult your intelligence, I was merely referring to killing any one of you.
Chief, I don't understand your sense of humor very much.
Oh, it wasn't a joke.
It would be quite difficult, I would assure you.
Well, I'd love to prove you wrong, but, you know, cards close to the chest and all.
Maybe
Just-
some other time.
Right.
On a side note, I will need a small allotment of coral steel. No bigger than my palm.
Ooh, still expensive, but no problem.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else, then, well, for right now at least, I will simply be here. This conversation naturally didn't happen. I got your report, but I am very busy with many other things, and so I scanned over it, but in my haste may have missed an important detail or two. Whichever details you would prefer me to have missed. He, actually starts going through the report that you filed, Mikey.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine.
If any of you should get cold feet about this entire affair, just let me know. I'll be sure to sort you out. Is there anything else, detectives?
No, that'll be all. We understand you're busy. And
Yes, quite.
Anya's gonna peace out.
If your unit is leaving, before you go, He'll say to Claudia, Detective Cornell, could you stay behind?
Yes.
And close the door.
She will close the door.
You seem to have some reservations about what you're doing. Is there anything I can do to clear it up for you?
The only thing that I want is to be sure that the president who comes after is not uh, S- I, Sonny Leroy, whatever his name is now.
Right, you have your qualms about who comes after the bad man. Is it a worse man? Who knows? In this line of work, unfortunately, we don't get the liberty of waiting to see if there is a better person waiting just beyond the wings. I know that it probably rings a bit hollow to you. After all, you are from a fresh species that has such hopes and dreams that you even forsook the horrible, twisted god that spawned you. It must seem like the middle of an ocean of gore and wreckage, this world. Just floundering in the middle. And when humans make decisions like this, it can seem troubling. I don't blame you. It is quite a messy picture we're in. But if we have a chance to make Guam more secure, then yes, I will employ police officers, manarettes, anyone to see it happen. And if anything should get in the way of that, like a moral, conscious, then you would also have to weigh on your conscience what happens in the face of inaction. Seven Nation Army is not known for dealing with nations that don't lie down nicely and humanely. Some of the very worst war atrocities that were carried out during World War IV were attributed to the Knife Party, but were actually carried out by the Seven Nation Army on suspected dissidents, sites where there were spies, military encampments. There is one shot to keep that from happening here. I will pull the trigger. I understand that you have adopted children that you
I
care
have.
for very deeply. Right. Make no mistake, Detective Cornell, when I do not say this to tug at your heartstrings or guilt trip you into murder. But the Seven Nation Army also does not show a single shred of mercy for any merfolk in any nation where they are conducting military operations. What you saw in the trenches with the burning was just a taste of what they might do here. I'm not talking about rounding up merfolk or breaking their storefronts. I am speaking more on they might try to kill every single one of you here, your children included, and there won't be any city left to police in if that happens naturally. I also will likely be flayed alive, so don't think that this is merely altruistic. For my own survival's sake, do you think they'd let a demon live? Much less one that's been working in the government that knows all sorts of secrets about the inner workings. I'd be tortured for information and executed, likely in public.
I get that. It's just. I guess it means I'm in for an assassination and an accident.
That's what happens, and that's what happens. But if you really are on board, may also have to really be on board with making sure that your children are somewhere else and safe, because these sorts of things tend to get a little messy when we get feelings involved. Is there anywhere that you could possibly send them, relative, friends, until this is all done?
Well, I I think Killer LP may have an idea, but he's he's a friend, so I can always ask him for help in that matter.
Killer LP? I guess you haven't heard. You've been busy. He's missing.
What?
And him and his bottlenose boys have all gone poof, vanish into the air. We don't know where they are.
Damn.
There's a lot happening in the world, Detective Cornell. You can't do everything all at once. So, I guess you'll just have to decide. Russia? Or, I don't know. Whatever your heart pulls you towards, you should do. No one's ever made a good, uncooperative spy. Usually they're just information assets. I don't see that for you in your future, so use your agency while you have it and decide on what you want to do. But just so you know, there is a large contingent and portion of this island that has been shielding it from the outside world. Just as much as Atlantis wants to shield itself, Guam has been dealing with many exterior threats, constantly. Unending, in fact. Information leaks, espionage, assassinations. There's already been 3 attempts on the Queen's life this year alone, and a 4th is already suspected to be underway. We are always, always vigilant and always working. So, I'm not going to give you the put on your big girl pants speech because I'm not a patronizing dick. But if you own a pair, you might want to put them on.
If I may just ask but one question, where would I even find a place to put them? Like, somewhere away from just Guam, or because Guam is like the only home I've really known.
Well, if that information is correct, then there likely won't be too many good safe havens on the island if an invasion gets underway, but if you put them on the west side of the island, away from the side facing Atlantis, which is likely where they will focus operations, they will at least be able to find the time to escape to any of the other islands, or perhaps even another nation. We do have family members of government employees that are being held under the same circumstance. I would say most certainly get you clearance for your children to receive the same. In all honesty, and as a member, or at least former member of the human species, I must apologize for this. Guam is seen as being the most openly tolerant and friendly of merfolk, so the options are not grand, but they exist. It is not all dire, and if the supposed mission of this mad CEO is carried out, then it won't even be much of an issue, I would think. He does seem friendly towards your kind, after all.
So far. Who knows what's in that cranium of his. But thank you. Yeah. Something has to be done.
I understand, and if you have any problems or confusion points within what's going on, I am always here to discuss it. And I even promise it's not just to listen to you and then eventually plan to, you know. He runs the finger across his neck. We run into all types in this sort of work, and the moralist is certainly one of them. But we continue our work regardless. And it doesn't all involve just, you know, shooting people and poisoning them and hanging them. And, you know, it doesn't all have to be the real grim, macabre stuff. It's the human element, really, that makes this work worthwhile, worth doing. And if the human element within you is stirring, that is not a fault or weakness. Simply a matter that needs to be discussed, likely. And, in some cases, conditioned. Oh, I shouldn't say that. That makes it sound like I'm brainwashing somebody. Massaged? No, not quite right either.
Encouraged?
Encouraged sounds just fine, I think. I think that, yes, the human element should be encouraged, especially... He looks sort of at the door for a moment as if he forgot to close it. I'll share a secret with you, Detective Cornell. Most people ask if I am human still. They ask if I have any shred of humanity. The truth is, it's a very small portion. But I guard it zealously, just like the smallest flickering flame in the darkness. Any scrap of humanity I hold on to. Because it burns with spirit and passion. And without it, what are we but automatons, soulless drones? I'd rather not be that. Well, occasionally I do flicker and flirt with extinguishing it with a tall glass of whiskey.
It's difficult, but it's worth keeping. Um,
I will ensure that your children are safe. I know that this is really the most important drive that you have. Sure, reason probably for even becoming a cop in the first place is to make the world safer for children.
yes, they deserve something better than what we came in with it. Far better than what we have, really, right now. I mean, you look at the state and you think everything's just going to the dogs, but you still gotta try. You still gotta try to make it good so that they can have a peaceful little life somehow.
Naturally. Whether you realize it or not, you're actually well suited for something like this if that's your point of view and your perspective, and you honestly believe it. Because that's really all we're ever trying to do in this field of cloak and dagger. Leaving the world a better place than we found it. At any cost. Well, almost any cost. If I'll go to heaven when I know that won't be happening. Maybe I'll end up where you folk go, wherever that might be. Detective Cornell, I've probably taken too much of your time, and now I'm beginning to wax philosophical with subordinate, which is a good sign that I am reaching likely the age of retirement.
Please, it's been an honor to just listen and talk. And you've definitely done a lot to shape my opinion a little more. And thank you for taking the time.
Of course. Although he goes to open the door. I must warn you, don't get attached. I've seen what happens to chiefs at this station. It's
The
never a
last,
good position.
yes, the last chief. We thought he was quite good, and then he went kind of mental, which I suppose you kind of have to expect in our line of work, but still, it's a little bit of a shock and a little bit of sadness to see him go.
Your kind has a gift, I think. You were born into this strangeness. But those who aren't, well, it's always a struggle for them. I am also gifted that way. It'll never be a problem for me to go crazy. By all psychological analysis, I technically am insane. You would never guess it, of course. And it's not the fun kind of crazy either. But it means that this world doesn't shake me up like it did the old chief.
It's a bit of a balancing act, isn't it? Difficult to be both put together and still able to process everything that happens like this.
I've heard the harmonizers speak of the matter of balance, yin and yang. They spew a lot of new age mumbo jumbo when you stop and listen to them, but their ideas are not unfounded, or I should say their heart is in the right place. I just can't get behind all of that damned electronic dance music they like.
Well, maybe it's not for you, but you can always find something you do like. That's all about how balance is. It's not always about something as simple as likes and dislikes, but just enjoying what you're listening to.
Perhaps some, yes.
I'm sorry, I was going to say just on a emotional or personal level.
Yes. Well, perhaps one day I'll share my collection of vintage Motown CDs with you. If you are, in fact, a music fan like I've read in your file, I'm sure you'll appreciate it.
Oh, I would. I'd love to hear some.
Good. Then come back alive, and you will. Oof, that is not really the incentive that it should be, is it?
Don't worry, I plan to come back alive, or at least leaving the place a little bit better than I came in. One or the other.
Very good. You'll have to pardon me, but it is almost time for, lunch. He kind of like says that with a very uneasy emphasis. Lunch.
Well, I'll leave you to it. She just offers a little bit of an apologetic smile.
Of course. I'll just see you perhaps soon enough. Seems a little bit eager to kind of hurry you out, and you can already see as he's reaching for the door to hold it further open, there is beneath the skin of his hand another hand pressing against the inside, like almost a double stacked hand.
Yeah, she's probably gonna give a look back for just a moment, just like kind of sadly, because yeah, it's get a rough situation, and then just leave quickly.
Sure. He goes to close the door, and as he does, you can sort of see a third eye starting to roll across from where his left eye is towards the side and eventual back of his scalp as he turns away and closes it. You can hear again that same clattering sound, though this time from the inside of it, as the room becomes that he was in. Like sound doesn't reflect off of it quite as it did. It seems muted and dulled. Other than that, though, it is silent. His soundproofing abilities are actually pretty strong. It's hard to tell what he's going through, but it's likely not very nice.
No, it isn't.
With the chief's blessing, then, your group has full permission to assassinate the president of the Seven Nation Army, at least as far as he and whatever agency he actually represents are concerned. As well, Gomihime has finally regained consciousness inside of the hospital where you left her. I don't know, do you need a police statement from her at all, or?
I mean, I feel like we should at least ask some questions as to, like, who or what she is, what's going on.
Okay, Gomihime.
We just had a magical girl knight show up and try and
Yeah.
kill Christ, and we're just gonna be like, yeah, if she's fine, whatever, let's just fucking leave.
Okay.
No, you know Mikey wants to know about this trash princess.
Yeah, I just watched a Technicolor knight in what is garbage armor pull out a impossible weapon and fail to kill a man. I need to know.
Well, the doctors give you the long and short of it, which is the medical treatment that was provided to Gomihime will help to stabilize her, but she's received significant brain damage from just having her skull practically caved in by something that was basically a large construction pillar iron beam that just fell on her head. Ice Peak's emergency assistance likely saved her from immediate death, and she is not brain dead, but the medical staff is able to pull up information on her, stating that she is in fact a 52-year-old woman from probably, they think, some part of England. So she's not Japanese. She is just currently she's like all wrapped up head to toe almost. She's pretty, aside from just her head, it also fell on like part of her spine and pelvis, and her ribs are shattered. She can answer some questions if you want. If you want to question her, that is. I mean, you don't have to.
Yeah, I feel like he would want to get some information from her outside of all that.
Okay. She will be cooperative, and even she seems happy when you come into her hospital room.
Hello. How are you feeling?
My name's Gomihime. I am 15 years old, and I'm gonna fight evil.
Right. Yeah, I was there when you initially showed up. My name's
Ryuho.
what?
You're Ryuho. I
Uh
won't go to the dance with you.
oh. No, that's not what I needed to ask. Are
Not like
you
I like you or anything.
okay. I mean, we don't know each other that well, so that's fine.
You grew up next to me. We went to the same school. Ryuho, Sukusachi.
Oh, okay. Great. This okay.
Yeah, he like looks down at like his phone where he had his notes, and he's just like, "That okay."
Uh, she goes, so okay. I mean, obviously, since we're friends, I would know about your whole childhood, how you grew up, you know, in Japan.
Yeah, I grew up near
Yep.
Akihabara Bara.
I don't. Okay.
Akihabara Bara.
Yeah. Okay. And your grandpa taught you how to wield that weapon, and your great grandpa in the mountains, if I remember right.
That's right. They had to go hide in the mountains because of the Demon King.
Right. And this Demon King, that was the man you were facing.
That's right. I was called to battle by the stars.
By this, okay, by the stars. Which ones? What did they say exactly? I wasn't there, obviously, because I wasn't given that quest. I'm just here to support you.
No problem. The great star princess, Princess Horihime, reign of evil all over the world. So I pulled the magical sword out from beneath the shrine temples in the Fukuhino Mountains.